when things do get in our way and done piss us off in the now of life, but we said we were going to show up to do something, we can allow a moment to get in our way and it affect what we said we were going to do before we even knew that was going to come in and be like, let me knock on your door. I have something to piss you off. Here, sign right here. Hey ladies, welcome to the She's Rooted podcast.
We're about to get real unscripted.
So pull up a chair. Let's get to the root of it. What's up, Mo?
This whole day can take a hike.
Amen to that, sister. Amen to that. I think that happens a lot in life, you know, curveballs. No fun.
Yeah.
But it has the 5 o'clock somewhere mindset. That's where I'm at. This is actual wine in my coffee cup.
There you go.
It's not. This should be though.
Yeah, this should be too.
You're like, I'm drinking straight vodka.
Actually, why are we at this point?
You know what? Let's go. Pause this. Let's go grab a drink.
We have the wrong drinks right now.
This is true. This is true.
For sure.
Which I think is a perfect time to talk about when life is just lifing and you're not liking it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you can see my hands here. Hold on. I'm like, life is lifing so hard that if you're watching this, you're seeing the real, like, we don't fluff and mess around. I'm not even gonna hide it. I have the jankiest setup today to record. And the crazy thing is, I knew we were recording today, but nothing was working the right way. And instead of crying and curling into a ball or pouring a glass of wine or going and saying F it all and going on the beach, I was like, we shall pivot and we shall just make something work, because you must always do what you can with what you have where you are.
Yeah. And we just got to see your fingers were gigantic.
Yeah, because my setup is so janky. That's why I said this, because you saw my fingers typing, because my son is now texting me because I have 4 children and there's never a dull moment. But my phone is set up on my laptop because my laptop won't actually work. And it comes on for like 8 seconds and then goes away. Yeah. And the 8 seconds it popped up, I saw a text from my son, so I just tried to type it back and now it's gone. So that's my story, in case anybody really cared, or you just wanted to know that the show must go on some days, and I feel like that's today.
Yeah. Well, if anyone was with us from the get-go, I mean, you were really just dropping mics and taking names, and then your computer died. Do you remember that? Day 1.
Yeah.
Mo has been in the research lab trying to find herself a new computer.
I don't know what to do. I really think I'm going to end up doing the iPad.
Yeah. Let us know.
I want to film on it so I can use it for online dance fitness classes.
Right.
But some other people in my circle are like, ooh, you don't want an iPad as like your only computer. And I'm like, how do you know what I want? So I'm in a battle.
She is so spicy today, my friends. But fun note, if you are watching this in the live and you're wondering, do those girls like coordinate their outfits? We do not. It is absolutely wild that we come on in. We come on in the same outfits. I don't know. We will have to sit parents down and get a conversation happening, because I think we were separated at birth somehow.
Something's not right.
Very wild. Very wild. But I think we should talk about, you know what, when things do get in our way and done piss us off in the now of life, but we said we were going to show up to do something, we can allow a moment to get in our way and it affect what we said we were going to do before we even knew that was going to come in and be like, Let me knock on your door. I have something to piss you off. Here, sign right here. I think we should talk about it because at the end of the day, like, there are so many things that can pivot us off of what we said we were going to do. And I'm very much like, you know what, I'm a walk the walk, I talk girl. And sometimes I might have to cuss a little, and it's fine, right?
Yeah,
But you still have to show up and do it. So I don't know, maybe we should lean on in on that. You know what I mean? We press play today.
it's very real life. I think it's something that all of us can relate to every single place on the planet, every single walk of life. We all can relate. And I heard a long time ago, and I really think it's true as I look at my own life, those that continue to stick to that which they said they were going to do, even if it looks a little different or if it has to pivot, truly will achieve their goals versus those that kind of scale back and they're like, ah, you know what? It's not meant to be today, which I've had those days too,
Yeah.
where you just kind of, and I think that that also goes into trusting yourself and understanding yourself. Um, because once you start to really hear that inner voice and really trust your gut, you kind of understand, I believe you understand the difference of saying like me saying to you, like, Jane, it's just not, it's not meant to be today. Like this is going wrong, this is going wrong, this is happening. Like I know that that wasn't what today was. Today was like, no, there are some things trying to hold you back. And I honestly believe it's because greater things are coming and it's more of that distraction. I think that when you set out a goal without expecting any distraction or any obstacles to get in your way, you're kind of foolish. I think when you set big goals and you set your eye on this vision that you feel like you're supposed to have, whether that be like a greater marriage and that's the thing you're working on, or being more successful in your career or starting a business, like if you go to start these things and pursue something better intentionally, you better bet that there's going to be distraction, obstacles, like things that are there, fiery darts, I've heard them called, that are trying to throw you off and stop you from that. Like it's almost that feeling of like, oh, how bad do you actually want this? Like
Right.
how bad are you
Good test.
actually? Yeah, like the test. And then I do think that there are the times where you just like have to take the step back and you just know in your gut, you're like, this isn't the push through day. This is like, maybe this is a sign that I need to just stop for a minute. So
Pour a glass of
I
wine.
don't know. What do you think?
No, I absolutely 100% believe that there are going to be things that get in your way intentionally. And I put on the mind, I'm always trying to find the bright light somewhere, like the meaning in something, right? So I think that it's put in your place to see if you really are serious about the thing that you say, because talk is freaking cheap. It is. But there is two sides to every coin. And I do believe that there are days where it's your push through day and there are days where you need to pause because you need to pause so
Mhm,
that you can push through.
mhm,
I remember back in the day, um, I took some time off. I used to teach dance fitness, like back in the day, like old school Zumba, right? And life kind of pivoted me out of it for just a moment in my life. And I got a really great opportunity that came across my table. And I jumped on it and I was like, this is gonna be super fun. Absolutely. I'm gonna do this. I'll teach these classes. And on my way to my very first class that I taught, and this was years ago, I freaking stubbed my baby pinky toe so hard. And I was like, God, are you telling me that I shouldn't go teach this class? But I did it anyway because I said that I was going to do it. And it was a really good season. And I love that's a part of my life that will never leave for sure. And I'm so excited to like jump back into roots of things, you know?
yeah.
So with that, I think that everything in life is going to test you. um, you are going to stub your dang toe. And, you talk in any kind of perspective of buckets of life, like health, business, family, marriage, friendship, community. You could pivot in any topic. Um, but I listened to this TikTok the other day, and it was Tom Brady. He was getting his hair cut by some rock star TikToker, and I wish I knew his name right now, but I know his face. But they were having a really good conversation, and Tom Brady was talking about like pushing through. And he says it so much better than I'm going to say it right now. But he said something along the lines like, when you quit chasing after the thing that you said was important to you, when you quit, do you know who that's good for? And like you put this in the bucket of like business or whatever, it's good for your competition that you quit because everybody else is still moving forward. Like, so I feel like you can't allow yourself to get too far behind when you're chasing after that better in whatever category of life you want to focus on. Um, but it is easy to sit in the moment of being pissed off and pivot out of the work that's necessary to get you where you want to go. Um, I've always been a big believer on if it won't matter 5 years from now, don't give it more than 5 minutes. And even that sometimes is hard. You go like 6 or 7, maybe 10, you know?
Yeah.
But like it's hard. But then when you grow through some things and you pick up these little tidbits that you can put in your back pocket in those heated moments, I feel like that's where those resurface and you're like, oh yeah, shit, I gave it 6 minutes. I was only supposed to give it 5. Let me move on. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's inevitable. And I do think that it is it's silly to think that things will not get in your way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that the biggest thing, like that was, today's been a day already and it's not very deep into the day. But you
Right.
sit back and you go, okay, like control the controllables.
Yeah.
And I believe that your emotion and your attitude is one of the controllables. I can't control, all of the things swirling around outside that are trying to like rock the boat and creep in and all of that. But I can control, for me, it's through prayer and just like, taking a second, praying, surrendering to God, like give it to God and like move forward, or take a second and count your blessings and like look around and pause. And what can you actually control right now? And if that's like an action that I need to take, or that's an attitude I need to change, those are skills. That's a skill, I think, to be able to learn that about yourself and have that in your back pocket. Because it's one thing to say like, we should just like push through, but like how?
Right. Right.
And for me, learning the skills that have gotten me through, which is like give it to God and go to sleep, or give it to God, like let it go. And also realizing like how do you change your attitude? And I would love to hear your feedback on this, Jamie, but like for me, it's counting my blessings and looking like from big picture view and going, okay, like it sounds so silly, but there's like been times where, you have health goals and you're like, I don't want to work out. And I have to like scale back for whatever reason. You're just in that. And I scale way back, and outside view is like, holy cow, how about being thankful for the fact that you even have the choice to work out right now? You're not stuck in a hospital bed laid up
Right.
with them telling you you can't move today. Like you need, like you're not there, or even in your own bed in your house, like whipped out with some sort of, or wiped out with some sort of sickness. Like you have the option to move. So why don't you like get your butt moving? Those are the ways that I change my attitude. I'm like, oh my God, I mean, count
Yeah.
my blessings, like think of it and move on. And like you get her done.
Right.
So I feel like controlling the controllables is a huge tool. And I believe that we control our actions and our thoughts, like we do. We can cast down terrible thoughts and we can, put them away and be
Will
able.
it, wish it in a will,
Mhm.
or whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
I think I did not say that right. What is it?
What'd you say?
Wish it into will? We made up a new saying today.
You made up a new thing.
Wow. Hopefully you picked up what I was putting down there, friends, because it made a lot of sense in my head. You could will it into existence. Let's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that takes still, that's what I would love to hear more on your take on that, because that
Yeah.
is one I struggle with. Like, that still takes me, I'm not just gonna like sit here and will that this podcast gets done. Like,
Right.
I have to get my head right and take the actions to do it, you know?
Right.
So it's still a decision to say, like, am I gonna back what I said I was gonna do?
Right.
And what tools do you use to do that? You know, some people,
Yeah.
like, you have to go for a run or go for a walk or like shake it out, like whatever you gotta do, you know?
Right. They say on TikTok a shimmy a day. No, I'll be real. For me, 100%, even putting in the mindset of today, walking through what we both chatted through before pressing play with this, I definitely feel for me what pushes me through towards that. Now I'm going to show up and walk the walk I said I was going to talk. Um, it's accountability. It is having raw, real conversations with the people that are in the corner of my life. And you are definitely in my corner, girl. I absolutely love you. And at the end of the day, we both said why we wanted to press play on today's episode and why it was important to us. And for me, having that conversation with you and being raw and real on what is important, and you know that, it holds my toes to the fire. And it also allows me to hold your toes to the fire too. So accountability is huge for me. Um, Putting in the workout mindset. My sister-in-law, she knows why I want to work out and why it's important to me, what my non-negotiables are, what I said I would show up for. I don't put unrealistic expectations on my goals because that just sets yourself up for failure or sets yourself up for the easy, life got too hard. I can't do it. And it's really, no, maybe I just didn't really want to do it. So I said I was going to do all these things because I know I'm not going to do any of them.
Yeah,
Then it makes it sound like, oh, it wasn't manageable enough. That's why I didn't do it. So it's kind of like your easy out.
yeah,
That's how I've walked through life with things. And then realization, it's like, oh, okay. It's a lot easier to say, I can't do something versus I won't.
hmm,
I won't just doesn't sit well with me. Um, and then music, huge for me. So I have a badass playlist
yeah,
that I have songs on that I don't let many people know around there.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I rock it out and I'm not the greatest singer, but in those moments I feel like I could definitely take a mic and a stage and have a sold out concert.
It's the best. That's actually such a great, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's even huge. If you're a parent listening into our podcast, you know, we talk about everything here, but I think music is huge for our families even. Like, I know that it changes the vibe of our home. So like, if it's where people need to crank out some cleaning and some chores and all that, doing it in silence versus like you putting on a playlist that's fun and upbeat, it just feels like it's instantly more fun to do the chores.
Right.
Or like when my kids come home and there's music on and I'm in the kitchen doing whatever, versus like they come home and it's nothing and I'm like, hi guys, how's your day? Like, gotta do this. Even if I'm like in a great mood, we gotta go here, we gotta go, versus like a little something in the background
Oh yeah,
changes the vibe.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm all about the vibes, man.
Music
Yeah,
is
music's key for me.
it's a good one.
Key. Yeah. So I suggest definitely grabbing a Spotify playlist, create your own playlist.
That's
What
good.
you use in your
I have stuff.
pocket when you need.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Dance, absolutely. Like, definitely dance it out. Yeah. And I think, too, I think you need those people in your life that you can be truthful in the raw messiness of the muck. Like, you need to have that outlet, but the outlet needs to be, I've always had the mindset of, if you're going to sit in the muck with someone that you trust and you're going to say the things that you need to get out of your mouth so that you can get it off your chest, and like it could be that you take your 5 minutes
Right.
and you use every adult word that you need to use in those 5 minutes. It has to be with a positive at the end of it. You can't sit in the muck and stay in the muck because that is only going to hold you down like quicksand. You
Right.
have to be able to muck it up and get yourself up and out of it. And that takes a lot, especially when the muck sucks.
Well, you have to know who you're connecting with and making sure that that's somebody that like not only will listen to you without judgment and all of that, but also will not encourage you to sit in the muck longer, right? Like you need those people that you know like is gonna move on with you and not like bring you back to that place for sure. You know, another thing my grandma always told me, I freaking love my grandma. She used to always tell me, Monique Renee, so now you know my middle name, she's like, Monique Renee, if you have to, she's like, set the timer on your phone, give yourself 2 minutes and just go cry. Cry as hard as you can for 2 minutes. And when that timer goes off, you stop and you get on with your day. And like she used to tell me that when I was going through just like so much in high school. And I was just, you know, an emotional girl in high school, teenage girl. And that was like always that I would do it. I've done that. I've continued that practice. I've told my kids that, like, cry, set the timer, freaking cry, scream, like, ball as hard as you can and get it all out. You got 2 minutes. When the timer goes off, we're done. Move on. Let's go.
We're done.
Yeah. It's over.
You're done.
Yeah. You could be done.
My grandma Donna I have two pieces of advice that I've always held on from her. I have tons, but like the two that come to my brain right now was one, she gave me marriage advice. Well, they're both actually marriage advice. One was never go to bed angry, ever. No matter what, do not go to bed angry because it is a gift to be here today. And I think that's where I get like the only time in your life that you can control is the now of it. I believe that probably stemmed from my grandma telling me never go to bed angry. And then the other one, sorry, Grandma Donna. The other one was make sure you always have she called it a nightgown, which would be like a robe, right? Always make sure you have a nightgown at the end of the bed, like on the whatever, on the frame. And I was like, Grandma, why? She's like, because Jamie, if there's a fire, you're not running outside naked.
Yeah.
Grandma, you don't wear anything what? Yeah. She was a lot of fun. I miss her very much. But yeah, great advice. I mean, you get a lot of good wisdom from
my grandma cracks me up. That would be a great podcast. I'd love to go into with you is just going back to grandma advice or like stories because it's just for me it's so grounding and like simple. Like she just was like her rules around life were not like wake up, take a cold shower, do this, do that, do this, do that. Like it was just this simple thing. And even I remember a while back, do you remember when like trauma was like such a big word? Like there was like a phase where everybody had trauma, everything was trauma, and I don't want to trigger you and trauma, which is fine. Like I don't want to sound like a jerk and say I'm taking things away from people who truly had trauma. I have experienced trauma. I'm not saying not real.
There's a difference when people try to monetize on top of that.
Yes,
absolutely.
But I remember, my grandma one time, and I was like, Graham, I was like, do you like ever have any trauma? And she was like, trauma. She's like, you mean, and my grandma's like one of 9 or 10 kids, Polish family, like grew up in Chicago, in the city. Poor.
Maybe we're getting onto something because my family's from that area.
Really?
My grandma she had 10 kids. Maybe we are related somehow.
Maybe we are.
Keep going. Sorry. I was like, wait, what?
But I remember her, like, literally what she told me was trauma. She's like, you mean like when my dad would come home and we would all run around the house and hide all the knives from him because he would be drunk and like try to beat on her mom and like go crazy with like they were terrified of him because he would come home drunk and just a disaster. And I looked back, but the way she said it, and like I looked back at her, I was like, yeah, I think that would be trauma. She's like, no. She's like, I'm fine.
Yeah. Old school generation, so unbothered.
So like, different.
And we're like in our 40s, right? So it's like we drink from the freaking hose. Like we didn't get all these fancy things.
Yeah.
That's why we look so youthful. Yeah. Right? And if you don't agree, don't make a comment.
Yeah, please don't.
Don't tell us.
Because we're actually feeling better now.
We're good. We're good.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that's fun. Yeah, I definitely I think today was good too, because like for all you guys listening right now, we're sitting in a moment prior to pressing play on this episode, and it's like we don't script anything, just so you guys know. Like we script zero things. We might have like an overreaching topic, and we're like, all right, let's rock it out and see what happens. It's like always Christmas here, right? We don't know.
Yeah,
But with that being said, like literally just looked at Mo. I was like, this is what we talk about today. This is what
yeah,
we're going to, because this is raw and real for us today, and we'll get ourselves up and out of it.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know what was going to come out, but here we are.
Yeah, and I feel like, as we're talking and hopefully to that listener that maybe is having a similar day as us or is coming out of that, or you're like on cloud nine, just know it's coming because it comes for us all, which
Yeah.
we all know this by now, but for some reason you're still like, but I don't want this type of day to happen. If you are listening though, I just encourage you, like, drop a comment, say, hey, amen, or this is going on, or share as much as you feel comfortable with. But like the whole goal here is to connect as best friends, like sitting around the table where we're like, listen, this is freaking mucky.
Right.
And we're like, yeah, but we're
Muck
gonna go
you.
forward.
No, just kidding.
But we're gonna go forward and we're
Yeah.
gonna make those decisions based on the power that we actually have inside of us, which is to choose this day how we're going to show up, who we're going to be, who we want to be that version of ourselves that we want to be, not the one that's knocked around to and fro by all of these things we can't control. I don't want to be that girl, so I'm choosing not to be. I'm not going to be that girl. I'm going to keep walking forward as the version of me I want to be. So
Right.
I encourage you listening today too to like pause for a second and kind of take that deep breath and just reassess, like, yeah, I'm going to be that version I want to be too, and not be pushed around by the things I can't control. I'm going to walk the walk that I want to walk.
Right. Yep. Get rooted.
Yeah. She's rooted, baby.
She's rooted. Yeah, you know what I was thinking about when you were talking about the boat in the water and like the waves coming in and like crashing the boat and like all of that. Um, and you are the boat, right? So when you're looking at that, you have to be able to withstand those tidal waves coming in, tsunamis, baby waves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Weather is different every single day in life, and there's a purpose for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and the
Amen.
grass, ooh, and the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it.
That is for sure the truth.
And then a pin, sometimes the grass is greener because it's fake AF.
That's also.
Open your eyes, friends. Here we are. But yeah, no, that was really good. I feel so much better right now.
No, I don't even need that wine anymore.
I might still have it.
It's only Monday. It's 5
Yeah.
o'clock somewhere.
It is.
Yeah.
I love that Jimmy Buffett. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, his food's good too. And his sister's food is really good. I think her name is Lulu. I could be wrong.
Aw, Lulu, that's so
It's
cute.
Lulu. I could be wrong. I might have made that up, but I'm almost positive.
I'm going with it. I'm gonna carry that rumor on.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy Buffett's sister's name.
And her food is delish. Yeah, we did a mechanical riding bull at her restaurant. It was fun.
That is fun.
Yeah, good times. Where the heck was that? Destin? I don't know. Well, on that note, you got anything else?
No, this is good. I hope
Okay, you get yourself up and out of the muck. That's
We're
what
out.
you did for me. Thank you.
we're out.
Yeah, get yourself a muck, sister. And we will see you on the next episode.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now we just end it, right?
Yeah.
Do we do our high pitch? Bye! See you later. We hope that landed. If it did, drop a comment, share it up, and you know what? We'll see you next week. Until then, stay rooted, sister.